Today on Starseed Essence Media, we dive into one of the most fascinating questions humanity has ever faced. Are UFOs just lights in the sky, or are they interacting directly with human consciousness? Our guest today is a legendary UFO researcher, author, and investigator, Preston Dennett, a man who has spent decades documenting thousands of real eyewitness encounters involving UFOs, humanoid beings, missing time, telepathy, out-of-body experiences, and contact phenomenon. This conversation goes beyond disclosure into deeper mysteries of why these encounters may be happening now more than ever before. Welcome to Starseed Essence. Thank you, Preston, so much for coming on. I'm so happy to have you here. And I wanted to start off with, I always go back to childhood, and for you, for people discovering your work. You have so many followers. You've done so much throughout your years. You've written how many books? 30? You've done a lot of research, and you've worked with a lot of TV. And so anybody discovering you for the first time, explain what was your what first convinced you that UFOs were real and the phenomenon that around UFO is real.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It was quite a journey for me, actually, because I came into this field as a complete, diehard, unshakable skeptic. I really did not believe in UFOs. I was sure that they were the product of hoaxes, hallucinations, misperception, or mental illness, which is really what our own governments really want people to believe, and have spent an enormous amount of time, money, and effort to put those explanations forth, which of course is not true. I found out it was quite a challenging experience for me, I should say. I'm pretty lucky. I was somewhat young. I was 21 years old, and watching, this is 1986, November 17, I remember the exact date. We were watching the news. You know, I have a pretty large family. I'm one of 6 kids. My mom had passed away at that point, but at any rate, we were watching the news, and a major newscaster, I think it was Tom Brokaw or Dan Rather, had come onto the TV screen and started talking about this UFO sighting over Alaska. Now, this has become a very famous case in the UFO community. It's very well known. But at the time, this news report was very short, kind of joking. They just kind of joked about this pilot who claimed to have seen a UFO. But I'll never forget, they showed his picture. And I'm like, wow, this is a commercial airline pilot. I can't believe he's saying this. He's going to lose his job over this, because this is crazy. I was right about that. He did lose his job for a period of time. But I kept thinking about this sighting. And I remembered that my older brother, Mark, I have 3 older brothers, had come running into the house when I was about 13 years old and saying, I saw a UFO. And I just remember looking at him and thinking, no, you didn't. I was very into the hard sciences, astronomy. And I know how far away the stars are. And I know that certainly with our own current technology, there's just no way we could travel interstellar distances in, a million years, literally. So I just dismissed it. But now hearing this pilot's report on the news, I went back to my brother Mark and asked him about this sighting. And he kind of gave me the side eye, looked at me like, are you serious? Do you really want to hear about it? Or are you just going to laugh at me? I'm like, no, tell me. And he described this incredible sighting, really mind-blowing. He saw this classic flying saucer, metallic, a dome on top, perfectly silent, colored lights. This was at night outside of Los Angeles.
Wow.
And he chased it down the Reseda Boulevard, which I know very well. That's very close to where we lived at the time. And we passed other cars who were chasing this thing. He chased it for about 15 minutes. It would wait for him, then he'd catch up to it and would dart off. And she's like, I was with my 2 friends, Phil and Greg, who I knew. Says, you should talk to them. They'll talk to you and they'll confirm this event. So of course I did. They did, providing new details. That's what opened the door for me. And I started asking other people, found out that I had people within my own family, friends, coworkers, a lot of people I knew who had really dramatic encounters. So that prompted me to start buying all the books I could find on the subject. I was going to disprove it. I was going to let them know they're seeing swamp gas, which of
Yeah.
course they weren't. And I became a field investigator for the Mutual
Wow.
UFO Network within a year, Mufon, very
Hmm.
large citizen UFO study group, and started attending conventions,
Wow.
interviewing people formally. That was a tough year, really wrapping
Yeah.
my head around the idea that we're being visited, that
Yeah.
there's a cover up. I started writing articles. I studied this subject for 10 years before I
Wow.
put out my first book, which is about healing cases, people who were healed as a result of a UFO encounter, and really never looked back after that.
Wow. I will tell you, I started asking people maybe about 5 years ago or so, random people I would meet, have you ever seen a UFO? And you talked about the commercial airline guy saying that he saw one. And I met a Canadian airline, commercial airline pilot that in front of his new wife told me, I asked him that question and he told me this whole story. She never heard it. Well, he said, well, nobody ever asked me. And she was embarrassed that she was embarrassed that he was telling me this story. She was like apologizing for him. I was like, no, I asked that for a question, for a reason. And he said he saw it. Him and another pilot together saw one. It was like 50 feet from them. He told me this whole scenario about it.
Wow.
And she was like telling him because he had a few little cocktails in. She thought he was making it up. He was not making it up. So it's pretty interesting. There's so many accounts out there. Well, I know you know that. You research this and I don't know how you do it. I don't know. There's so many people throughout the years that have done so much extensive research. And I think it's at I feel like right now it's at like a tipping point. And saying disclosure, what's on the news, what was on the news like 2 days ago, like mainstream media, even talking about some different races of ETs. I don't know if you've
Yeah, it's
seen
definitely
that.
going mainstream.
Yes. It's,
Yeah, it's very exciting because
I
it
know.
hasn't been like this for decades.
I know.
So
And
yeah,
even
it's
if it's not 100% right in the mainstream media, like they're talking about it. And I think that's a good thing.
yeah, absolutely. Because it's funny you're talking to this pilot and his wife hadn't heard this. So many people I've interviewed, uh, they've told no one, not their spouse, not their family or friends. And yeah, I've interviewed a number of pilots over the years who've seen very close up objects. So
Yeah.
people think, it's just some uneducated person out in the middle of the wilderness are seeing these things. No, it's people from
Mm-mm.
every level of society.
And there's all sorts of different ships that people are seeing and orbs, phenomena. So one thing trending heavily right now online is the feeling that sightings are accelerating very fast. So many sightings globally. From your decades of research, are more people actually seeing UFOs now? Or is it, well, I guess UFOs would be unidentified, or are more people finally willing to talk about it? Like we were, it's like,
Yeah.
is it more or actually are they talking about it more? Like what we were just
Well,
saying.
it's a tricky yeah, it's a bit of a tricky situation. I mean, that's a difficult question to answer because we don't know for sure, but here's my assessment of what's going on. This is something that's been going on for centuries, millennia. Really didn't get popularized until the late 1940s. At the time, there was the Roswell UFO crash in 1947 in New Mexico, the Kenneth Arnold sighting. And this broke into the mainstream media and really brought a lot of attention to this subject. And activity was quite intense that year. And really, it remained very intense. And this is when UFO groups like MUFON or NUFORC, the National UFO Reporting Center, or APRO really was the first, the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization. They started to form to catalog these sightings because our government officially absolutely denied that any of this was real. So most vast majority of cases were not recorded. And over the years, I think activity has remained pretty steady.
Hmm.
Certainly, there are what we would call flaps or waves of sightings where there's a sudden intense wave of activity and then it dies down a little bit.
Yeah.
But as the subject has grown more and more popular, you're absolutely right. I think more and more people are finding the strength and the courage to come forward and share their accounts
Yeah.
because ridicule was a real problem for a very long time,
Mhm.
skepticism and gaslighting. And we're beginning to move past that. However,
Yeah.
now, and this is where it's a little bit of a tricky situation, we have reverse engineered this technology from cases like the Roswell UFO crash and others. So a lot of what people are seeing now, currently this year and the past few years, really
Mhm.
is not ET.
Yeah.
And the reason I say this is because having spoken to some contactees who are very much having extensive experiences, they're saying, no, the ETs aren't actually even here right now and actually left in 2022 because of our magnetic fields around our planet have become incredibly unstable.
Yeah.
So the things people are seeing now are probably our own.
Mhm.
But yeah, certainly up to 2022, the activity was very intense. But now I think most of any increase in sightings is due to our own government flying this stuff around and people feeling much more comfortable talking about this.
I think so too. I think that we do have this technology that's been reverse engineered. Some of us know, some of us have been researching it for a long time and um, know. And some people would be, oh my gosh, how do you know that? Blah, 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 blah. Do your homework. But there's,
Yeah, I
I
always
feel
say
like,
that.
I feel like there's ships here that man has made. And then I feel like there's these biological sentient ships. What do you know about that? The sentience, the beings that are here. It's not even, we would say a ship, but it's really not a ship. It's a being. Or what is it exactly? I know from
Yeah,
personally, I've been seeing something I can't quite I feel like it's connected to a heart space and it feels sentient. It feels like it. But then, I also know there's that other hand. There could be whole totally psyops things involved with this because we do have technology that a lot of people don't know about. And who knows what our government could be doing or why is even being kept a secret. What do you
right.
think about
I mean,
that?
there is a cover up. Yeah, there's no doubt there's a cover up. I think our governments know a lot more about this and absolutely are doing what we would call psyops and my
Hmm.
labs, fake ET
Yeah.
encounters. But I'm so glad you mentioned, are these ships more than just ships as we would think of it, nuts and bolts, or are they alive or sentient?
Yeah.
First time I heard that was from very early on in my research. I'd interviewed a friend of a friend. Kyle was his name. He was driving along the 5 freeway in the Central Valley of California and was very familiar with UFOs. He had always been interested in the subject, always wanted to see one. He was driving. He will not get in a car unless he's driving. And his friend was with him. And they saw this craft alongside the road. And they started discussing animatedly, what this thing could be because it had colored lights and fog all around it, and it was lowering down and appeared to be landing next to the highway as they were approaching it. Now he said, Preston, I don't know how to tell you this, but this thing was alive. I
Uh,
felt like this was a living being more than just a
yeah.
craft.
Like it touches
Uh,
your heart,
and
even thinking about it. Yeah.
he had missing time after the encounter. They woke up. He was in the passenger seat and his
Hmm.
friend was driving. They couldn't talk. They were kind of traumatized.
Hmm.
It absolutely changed his life. He ended up
Wow.
leaving an unsatisfying relationship, an unsatisfying job. He didn't like where he was living. His whole life changed completely. He ended up moving to Hawaii, going off grid, saving
Oh my
food in
gosh.
case there should be
That sounds
future
amazing.
disasters, which is a theme that comes up. But
Hmm.
yeah, that was the first guy. And over the years, because I've interviewed many, many people, hundreds formally, and I've talked to thousands easily.
Yeah.
And people kept saying this. And it was very hard for me to piece together because a lot of people had fear involved with their encounters or missing time or had only patchwork memory. And occasionally I would run across a person who had full memory of their encounters
Hmm.
and had moved past fear and didn't
Hmm.
need hypnosis.
Yeah.
And really,
That fear is intense.
I finally found, yeah, it can cause you to not perceive accurately.
Yeah.
At any rate, I finally ran across one of my favorite contactees ever. And this was just, 2016, not too long ago. Well, gosh, it's 10 years now. Wow.
Yeah.
But at any rate, she has very extensive encounters. And she explained to me what I already knew, but didn't fully understand was that these are ships. They are vehicles traveling
Uh-huh.
from other star systems, but they are embodied. They are partly biological. And they're inhabited or embodied, incarnated, you might even say, by an interdimensional entity, a fifth dimensional,
Uh-huh.
who is a living being and very advanced,
I feel
very
like it's
intelligent, very psychic.
is
All
it
these ships are
telepathic?
alive.
Yeah, they're telepathic. They can hear you. They can respond to you and hear you. And like you ask for a
100%.
signal, they'll
Yeah.
give it to you.
I've had that myself. That's not uncommon with contactees, but I'm so glad you said that because, yeah, these craft are living beings as we would think of it, but still
Do
vehicles
you,
are carrying ETs.
I have a couple of questions that are coming to me. One of them is I don't know why, but in like last week, I had this strong sensation. It kind of want to make me sad and feeling about like, do you think that our government has some of these ships that are sentient, like held captive, or like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I had like a vision of like them something was like I know I can get kind of out there. Anybody that knows me, I can take you down rabbit holes. But you hear about the government, and I can edit this out if we don't want to talk about this. I am sensitive to everything. But the government like taking having like ETs held captive in some sort, or taking these ships that are sentient and they're just down in a deep underground military base somewhere, blocked off from being their natural state of exploration through the whole solar system and the universes. And I don't know, I just had that thought that come to me, and it kind of made me sad. I'm like, I hope humans, because I know humans can be very. I mean, I'm a human, but I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, like the Terran, I guess, can be
I do.
very to do that to another being. Even the way I feel like even the way our animals are done here is not right, but that's me. It's just the way it is. I don't know. Do you think anything about that? I mean, I know you've done a lot of research, and there's stuff that you probably don't want to talk about. But I've asked a high-ranking military officer about this, and he asked me how I knew what I knew. He asked me how I got my information.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, ask me anything. And I'm glad you asked that question. You're very perceptive because I think there's very good reporting on that, actually. I come at this from a contactee angle. I think if you want to get the answers about this subject, really all the information we have comes from people who've had these experiences or who are connected directly to ETs, who again are very telepathic and will communicate with you. And yes, from what I understand, there are craft who are being held captive,
It just
and it's
breaks my
incredibly
heart.
immoral. It's a
Yeah,
disgrace.
it breaks my
Our
heart because I
governments
can't
are
even
corrupt.
imagine. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking
The
about the limbic
immorality.
system. Like the limbic system in the brain, the emotional system of the brain of the whale, okay, for instance. I mean, human beings, we're emotional creatures. We have a limbic system in our brain, but a whale has a huge one. And think about these beings, how they're emotional they are. Can I even imagine? I don't know why, but that has just been on I don't know. It just hurts my heart to even think about. And I don't understand why. Like they're just, it's not something to possess. I don't like any kind of animal, I guess, or human people, human beings are being done like
Yeah,
that too.
I
It's
think it's
sad.
incredibly immoral and unethical and tragic, really. Because
Yeah.
from what I understand, yeah, there's a number of these craft which are living beings. So we're dealing with a segment of our population here on this planet. I would call them the secret government, I guess, the highest levels of parts of the highest levels of the military, military industrial complex, the intelligence agencies, some of corporations who are the ones behind the cover up. And yes, who apparently don't have morals or really are just doing heinous things. And one of them is withholding information from all humanity, keeping these ships captive. They've tried to keep little ETs or, what have you alive. I don't think they've been successful with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, these craft, they're studying them From what I understand, there's some reporting on a craft that they weren't even able to open, could not get inside of it. This is how advanced these uh, ETs
Mm-hmm.
are. Their technology is not 1,000 years ahead, not 100,000, closer to 1,000,000, or to some reports, 1,000,000,000 or more
Yeah.
years ahead of us.
Yeah.
So that's almost impossible to even imagine, because they do
Yeah.
get inside some of these craft and there's not a whole lot in there. It's like, how are these things powered? What
Yeah.
I think people are just beginning to understand is that these craft are their technology is very much integrated to consciousness and psychic
Yes.
abilities.
Yeah.
So our governments are never going to be able to fully successfully reverse engineer these things. They're just skimming the surface.
Yeah.
But holding these craft captive is just awful. And yeah, it's
I want to
heartbreaking.
release them all.
So
It just breaks my heart because I feel like I
yeah,
feel them. I feel connected somehow to that sentience of a sentient ship. Maybe because I've seen one or felt like I have at least. One time,
yeah,
let me tell you,
contact is far more common.
yeah,
Go ahead.
well, I've had a lot of interesting things. In about, let's say, year 2021, I was heading back from a hospital in Valdosta, Georgia, and I went on the back roads that day, and I didn't realize it, but I was right beside Moody Air Force Base. Well, I pulled over because it was in the middle of nowhere. I wanted to take a picture of or a video of the beautiful harvest moon. It was a beautiful full moon in October. It was beautiful. And then I look up and I was like, wait a minute. I see two UFOs right there. Two white UFOs, two of them. They were hovering and then they were kind of bouncing. And I was like, am I really seeing this? So I started videoing that and then videoing the moon. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this Jeep pulls up beside me. This man dressed in a suit runs out. I'm in a Jeep too. And he runs out and he hands me a little duck and he said, "You've been ducked," and gets in his. I was like, that was weird because I'm like seeing this UFO and the moon and but that night I had a visitors. I don't know what happened other than I saw red hues, lots of static electricity. I even told them, you're trying to show me a screen, a screen memory because it was trying to show somehow, or either my consciousness was trying to see my dog outside when I knew my dog was in the bedroom. I was like, no, that's not true. I'm walking my astral body, and that's what I wanted to talk about next is the out of body experiences. But somehow the beings or something, because I didn't want to look at I never want to look at them directly. It's terrifying. I don't even know if it's a them or what I don't, you sense it. And, so I had red hues, static electricity everywhere, like intense static electricity. I'm talking about the whole room was static. And the screen memory of my dog, I was like, no. And then they gave me there was a message, "You did really well this time." I don't know what that meant exactly, but I remember that was a really interesting experience. But that brings me to the out of body experiences. Now you've had many, many, many of them and you've perfected it. That is awesome because I have not. I've done spontaneous since I was little, spontaneous, but not like really like my out of body isn't like I can see my body and walk around. I'm more like my consciousness will just boot. All of a sudden I'll be in Arizona or across the world somewhere. Like I know it's Arizona. I'm like my consciousness gets pulled there. I don't understand that, but it does. I see things like that. Tell me about tell us about some of your out of body experiences and how you started with that. Cause that's a really interesting story.
Yeah, I would love to. It's my favorite subject. I'm really delighted to hear your own experience, which sounds familiar to me. Overcoming fear during an encounter is a process for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
think we are largely responsible for what we would call screen memories, because it's not the ET's goal to scare us. So they are trying to show themselves in a way which doesn't trigger a fear response in people. And once we get through that, then encounters will often escalate, fully conscious encounters. And out of body experiences is absolutely related to this. It's a rare contactee who doesn't experience something paranormal in terms of abilities like this: astral
Yeah.
projection, remote viewing, mediumship, healing, precognition, and so forth. And it's funny in my own case, right when I started investigating UFOs, I started having encounters. It's in my family.
Wow.
I didn't really think of myself as a contactee, but eventually I had enough experiences where I realized, okay, there's something going on here, and was having out of body experiences. This was something I pursued vigorously because I read about it
Hmm.
in books like Robert Monroe's book, Journeys Out of the
Yes.
Body, and other books by William Buellman and Robert Bruce. There's quite a bit of literature out there. But I found out about this out of body subject, astral projection. And I'm the kind of researcher who it's not enough to read about stuff. I want to do it myself. So I was out there looking for UFOs and I saw them. I did research on ghosts. So I had ghostly encounters and Bigfoot and dreams that came true and all of this stuff. I really dove deep into it. And astral projection was something I 100% embraced, finding out that this was something you could do. It's a natural human talent. It's as safe as sleeping, and it just opens a door to literally a whole new world. So this came at the same time for me, which was really disorienting and quite a change from, for someone who's so skeptical and left
Hmm.
brained to move into this whole field of astral projection was a huge shift. But I really worked hard at it. There's little exercises you can do, which basically involve relaxation, meditation, affirmations, visualizations, these kinds of things, which are
Binaural
really
beats.
effective. Right. I tried that. I ended up not using those because it felt
They
like it
make
was
me fall asleep.
forcing the experience. But after about a month and a half, actually, 1 month and 3 weeks, I had my first OBE, which was tremendous. And I felt the vibrations that people talk about, and I popped out of my
Hmm.
body and I flew across the room and got so excited I got pulled back in. But
Yep.
I'm like, wow, this is real. There is life
Hmm.
after death. You can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So I pursued it really hard. Following
Yeah.
that, I had another OBE the very next weekend.
Wow.
And after that, pretty much once or twice a week, I would have them. They started out quite short, literally just seconds until I learned to overcome my strong emotions. I would get so
Hmm.
excited, and that would always pull me back. And I had to learn how to just relax a little bit. I had to learn how to see, how to move. It was a big, steep learning curve to
Yeah.
get good at this. But I did. And I never looked back. I've been able to have all kinds of amazing encounters. I mean, I cannot recommend astral projection enough. It's, again, I'll just underline that, a natural human ability.
Do you teach it? Have you taught
I
it?
do. Yeah, I've taught classes. I've got workshops. I actually have a little 2-page guide I finally put together because I get so many questions about this,
Hmm.
which outlines about, 10 steps, which if you follow them diligently are very effective. I can't guarantee that it
How
works,
could
but
somebody find that outline of that, the steps on that?
yeah, you can contact me on social media or just email me. I'll give you my email right now. It's very easy to remember. It's my first name plus the word UFO. So it's PrestonUFO@gmail.com. And I'll email it to you and I'll help you along. There are people who charge all kinds of money for this stuff,
Hmm.
which, I just don't know that that's fair. This is something that everyone should have access to.
I feel
So
that
yeah,
way
please email
too
me. I will send
with
you
things.
this.
I'm glad you said that because I
It's
was
so
thinking about,
amazing.
yeah, I was thinking about how the information, any information really is, it's a collective information and it's coming through. Like we should share with everybody. But yes, you're really good at it. What is your most favorite astral projection out of body experience? I know you've have probably have a lot of them, but what's one that you can just like that comes to mind? Your very favorite.
You're asking me to choose between all my lovely babies. I love them all. But,
I love them.
there are some that stand out, certainly. I mean, gosh, it's so hard because I've been to healing temples and schools of learning and past lives and enlightened masters and gone to the heavenly realms and the Akashic library. So it's very hard to choose.
Wow.
But one does stand out because this was a very early one, which really kind of opened the door for me to getting much better at this. My mom had passed away in 1984. I saw her spirit like 2 weeks later, thought I was hallucinating, didn't really realize, because I didn't believe in ghosts. In hindsight, I realized, oh, she came and visited me. But that was my whole motivation to learn how to do this, because I wanted to know if there was life after death and where was my mother? How was she doing? And I started having these out-of-body experiences, and occasionally she would appear briefly, but I really wanted to go where she was, to the other side. And one day I popped out of my body, and I'm like, okay, I'm out of body. I can't. Every single time, it's like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. No one would ever believe this. This is so amazing. And I floated out into my living room, and there was a woman there who I did not recognize. I mean, I kind of knew who she was, but she was nobody I knew in real life. Beautiful black woman. Oh my gosh, is she a spirit guide? Who is this? And I ran up to her to ask her name. And she just smiled, very pretty lady. She grabbed my shoulders, spun me around, and pushed me through the wall. And I ended up in
Oh,
another place. And this was a fairly involved
it
experience,
gave me
but
chills.
I'm flying around. Oh, it was amazing. So I'm flying around and I'm like, okay, I am still conscious. I'm good. I'm out of body. I'm going to try to contact my mom. And so I started calling her name. Which I often did. And I would call her like 20, 30 times and she wouldn't appear. This time
Oh.
she did. I'm like, mom, where are you? I'm out of body. I'm here. Come. I've met you halfway. You should be able to see me. And she appeared. Now, she died at age 49. She had,
Wow.
some gray hair and wrinkles. But she looked so young. And by the way, when I go out of body, you should see me. My hair is long. I'm buff. I'm young. Oh, it's amazing. You look so good when you're out of body. You kind of regress to whatever age you want to be.
Yeah.
So she's smiling ear to ear. She has this beautiful hair. She looks like she's 19 years old, which is, I never knew her at that age. So I'm looking at her. I'm like, Mom, oh my God.
Yeah.
And,
Ooh, howdy.
it was a just wonderful reunion. I mean, we've all lost loved ones, and we all know how very hard and devastating it is. So just imagine that kind of reunion where you get to meet someone who's passed on that you love dearly. So we hugged, we said, I love you. And she took me by the hand and pulled me to the other side. And that was the first time I'd ever been to the other side. So we kind of hit this barrier, which is hard to describe. It's like diving into a crystal almost, or, when you dive into the water of a pool, perhaps it's a slightly different atmosphere and everything's sort of like that. I mean, you hit a barrier and then boom, you're through it.
Wow.
And we were flying over this beautiful green field with flowers and trees and colors that I cannot describe with words, other than to say it's far, far more vivid and high definition than it is here. And everything's internally lit by this divine light. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I instantly recognize this is the heavenly realms because there's no other real way to describe this. Everything's sparkling and glistening, and you're embraced in this kind of divine love that is just so wonderful. And we flew across this field and we landed at the edge of grove of trees, and there was a little creek, a little, tiny little stream, and she walked into it. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She's like, come into the water. This was all telepathic. And so I did. And the water felt so silky, so cool, different from how it feels here, because it doesn't get you wet. You pull your hand out, it's dry. You go in, it's wet again. And we played around in the water. And then she's like, just wait. I've got something even better to show you. Took me by the hand and we went up to another, what I assume is a higher realm, because we again went to another kind of barrier. We were in this place which was all crystals. It was crystals from horizon to horizon, tiny little sand crystals to small rocks to boulders to a crystal mountain. I'm not kidding. Like quartz crystal and rose quartz and amethyst, and just beautiful. And she's sitting on this giant crystal boulder. She has great posture. She's looking at me kind of just smiling ear to ear because I am astonished. And my vision, I'm slightly nearsighted. Not there, you're not. You can zoom in to miles away and see things in incredible detail, which I did. It was a little bit disorienting because you could see 360 degrees around you. Your awareness is a lot sharper there.
Yeah.
And I'll just wrap this up because I could go on for an hour with this whole experience. But we pointed to the ground and said, look. And she turned it orange. And she told me to bend down, scoop up these crystals and put them in my mouth. I'm like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? She's like, do it. And it was really, really bright orange. So I did it. And these are like orange glistening sand, right? I'm like, okay, you're the boss. Put it in my mouth, and it was the orangest orange you've ever
Oh,
tasted. It's popping and kind of like that pop rock
like pop
candy,
rock.
if you've ever heard of that. And it was so orange. I became addicted to orange juice after that experience,
Oh, well, I
which just
still
didn't
am.
match.
Wow.
But then she took me back down, and we sat on this bench. There's little pathways. There's other people there, and everyone looks absolutely beautiful, so vital and healthy. She pointed to, we talked for 20 minutes about my life mostly, and a little bit about hers. Don't remember a lot of it, actually. But then she points to the sky and says, look at the sky. And these fluffy white clouds appeared and spelled out the words, love you, love you, love you. I'm like, oh, Mom, I love you too. And then suddenly I felt this weird pull on my body, which I recognized because you can only stay out of body for so long when suddenly you're pulled back. And I'm like, what's that? Oh no, I have to go. I don't want to go. I can stay here forever. And I looked behind me and there's this giant tunnel of light opening. I'm like, well, whoosh, I went into it. I got sucked down and into my body. After I would stop and have to write down things and remember it and kind of memorize what
Oh
had
my
just
gosh.
happened. But finally I woke up. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I awake? Yeah, I'm awake. This is my room. Yeah, that
Wow.
was my best one. That
Wow.
opened up the doorway to me. I started having these much more often and really got to explore the higher realms to a degree I wrote a book about it, and I'm going to write
Yeah.
another because these experiences are so extensive.
It's funny, whenever I asked you that, what was your favorite experience? I get like an images, and I saw Crystal City, and you said that. You didn't say that at first, and then you said it, and I'm like busting over. I'm like, I saw it in my head. Like I really did. I was seeing like crystals everywhere, and I saw like the majesticness, like it's just an impression, just like a flash of what it was. And I think that's how ETs work. I think the ET
100%. Yeah.
telepathy is like that. And that's a
Us
baby
too.
step, even.
Yeah.
Us too. We are the ETs.
Yeah.
We are the aliens.
We are. We truly are. Let's face it. We're ET to every other living being beyond Earth. There's a lot more than us. But yeah, we're
Yeah.
all essentially human. People kind of have a tendency to look at ETs as other or alien. That's not the case. We are all
Mm-mm.
one. That's one of the messages almost all contactees will get at some point. We are you. You are us. We are
Yes.
one. We share a common heritage. We're essentially all connected, profoundly connected.
We are. It's wild, and I feel like as your consciousness like expands through, because this is consciousness. A lot of this is consciousness based too. That you understand that, and your consciousness can actually morph the field around you. And I don't know. You start. It is a double-edged sword because you have to be ready for it, because you can create things that you don't really necessarily like, the fear stuff. That's why it's important not to have fear. And I'm definitely still learning this because I still have fear, but I'm trying to work out of it because you will create weird things. I'm
I've
sure
done
you've
it.
heard all kind of experiences, but I know we're getting kind of up there in time. I know we both were probably going on and talk about this. I didn't want to cut it too short, but we got a little bit more time here to talk. And for some reason, I'm seeing live up there, so I don't know if we're live or not. If we are, then oh well. I'm just going to go with it. I'm learning. I want to edit it and put some imagery in. I like to do all the images because I was like, I literally was seeing that in my head, what you were describing with your out of body experience. I
Oh,
wish I can
it's
get
so
that
cool.
good. Whenever
You
for your
can.
out of
You
body
can.
experience, what is it? What'd you say? There was a
You
lag there.
absolutely can do this. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can do this.
I believe so. I think that, I've done it in different ways, not like you're like expert on it. Do you feel like diet and like sleep patterns, do you think that affects you in doing this, the out of body like techniques?
To some extent. You can really do this. You don't have to be a yogi or a saint or anything like this, but certainly there are factors that will make it easier for you. A healthy diet, plenty of sleep, exercise. If you're the kind of person who procrastinates, you've got a lot of trouble with the so-called deadly sins of, lust and anger and greed and despair and sloth and so forth, because those steal your consciousness. And so if
Hmm.
you can move past a lot of those, fear in particular,
Yeah.
It'll be a lot easier for you. But it's a great place to work through those issues because
Mhm.
I thought I was doing pretty good when I started having these experiences, but no, I would pop out and I would get really angry or really hungry. I would create feasts of food. And I mean, I had to deal with all of those issues, which was fine. You know, I would create all kinds of things to play around with and work through it because
Yeah.
it's a safe arena. It's actually a lot easier to work through some of this stuff than it is here, which has such enormous consequences. And you can't
Mhm.
just run into a store and start pushing everything off the shelves and beating people up. Well, I kind of did that on the other side. Apparently, I had some anger issues, which was really surprising to me because I really don't. I'm pretty good with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all have these issues. I think that's one of the reasons we're here on Earth is to sort of gain wisdom and work through that and
Yeah.
really have a lot of experiences to move to a place where we allow love and truth to guide our actions. Because that's all we bring with us. It's love and our experiences.
Do you feel like Earth is a school for the soul?
100%. I feel like we all chose to come here to learn
Mhm.
things that we cannot learn on the higher planes because there we're so connected. There really isn't any such thing as pain or loss. And those are things you can experience here, and they're great teachers. The sense of individuality we have here is something that we can work through to realize when we are actually connected. So, yeah, Earth is a tough school. Number of out of body people, who've written books on this, like Robert Monroe, talk extensively about this. And I 100% agree. But we're all having out of body experiences every night, all of us. And so this is something really the trick to doing is learning how to remember what's going on at night.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough school, all right.
Yeah, it
Kudos
is.
to anyone who's chosen to come here,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's
And
it's
to
not
come here
easy.
and to work through getting, like, different masterships somehow, without remembering every time, without any rules here, and then you have to, "Oh, I remember that." I remember I don't know, I think too, even, like, you notice, I know you've noticed more and more and more, like, the starseed movement, the starseed. Lately, I've come up with we've ran into a very big coincidence with the starseed, but I'm actually interviewing a lady tomorrow about it, but it has to do with George Van Tassel and the Integratron.
Right.
It's just interesting how it's here now. This timeline that I feel like the best is yet to come, but it's here now. Like this is the best day right now. Like we're just getting closer and closer and closer collectively to understand some of this stuff. Also, to keep it a school so we can learn things. I don't know. I think it is a type school, and some people say it's a prison planet. I mean, you hear that a lot too. I mean, I think that if
Yeah,
you say
I don't
that,
buy into
that's
that.
what you get. But that's my understanding of it. And a lot of times, I don't even think it's about a hunt for me. It's not always about voicing my opinion. I kind of just sit back and I observe. I like to observe a lot. I'm the observer a lot of times where I'm just like,
You learn a lot more that way.
yeah, I'm just like,
Yeah, I think
mhm,
it's a huge gift to be able to be a part of this universe and come down and experience these things. I think learning astral projection brings so many amazing benefits, but one is that you really learn firsthand. This is not just a belief. This is experiential knowledge that we are in
yeah,
fact immortal beings.
mhm,
So we have all the time in the universe, which just changes your perspective on everything to realize just how much power we truly have as individuals and as part of this integral, indivisible part of this universe. We're all 100% connected to each other and to source. So it's a
yep.
beautiful thing. And it's just such an awakening when you start having these OBE.
Yeah, I've been really thinking about it lately, and then I've been watching your videos on it, and I've watched other people. There's main people talking about this too. You you probably know some of the people. I'm not that Darius, right? He does good stuff teaching it, and but you're saying some stuff I never heard before, which I thought was interesting. I'm like, oh, I want to try that because I have a lot of lucid dreams. You can actually pop out of a body. You can do out of body in a lucid dream, that's
Yeah.
interesting because I'm a big lucid dreamer. And I think I popped out of body once through there, but you can't. It's hard to remember that that experience.
Yeah. Uh, that's the
Well,
trick, remembering.
yeah, yep. Let's see. I have a lot of. I have always have like backup questions, but I always do pretty good coming up with the questions. Sometimes I get stumped. I'm like, what could I ask next? I could talk and talk about the stuff. Well, so I know you can too. This is like a big passion. It has been of mine personally since I was little. Somehow I've been connected to portals and interdimensional beings and the elementals, the fairies, the angels, the Elohim. And yeah, loving that. But I just want to say thank you very much for coming on and sharing this time with me. And anybody who's watching, go to his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of great stuff. And I will link your contact below and your channel below the episode. Is there anything else that you want to share?
No, not really. I think we covered it pretty good. Just a huge thank you to you for having me on and for doing the work you do. And I would just tell people, move past fear, allow love and truth to guide your actions. And this is a safe universe. We're all immortal. So have fun. Have fun with it.
Yes, have fun.
I
That's
think,
what my thing is. I
joy
tell
is a
people that.
great teacher.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And to everyone watching, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep looking up. Namaste. Thank you, Preston. I'm going to hit the stop button. It says it's live, so I don't know if it went live or not. But if it did, then it's a learning lesson. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.